The Council of Nicaea, held in 325 AD, was the first ecumenical council of the Christian Church, and arguably the most significant. From it we get the Nicene Creed, one of the foundational statements of Christian doctrine. But the council produced more than just a creed. It also issued a formal letter summarizing its decisions, and a set of 20 canons which were ecclesiastical rules on how the church had to function. In this video, I'll be sharing 5 of the most surprising things that I found in these canons.
Are you kidding me?
Things that may challenge assumptions held by many modern Christians, especially those less familiar with the early church. Lent is already an established season. Most people don't realize that Lent, yes, the 40-day season of repentance leading up to Easter, is mentioned in the Nicene Canons.
So what'd you give up for Lent?
In Canon 5, the bishops address unjust excommunications and outline a system to prevent them. Each province, they declare, must hold 2 synods annually where all the bishops meet to review such cases. Here's what it says. Let these synods be held, the one before Lent and the second in autumn. That offhand mention confirms something significant. Lent wasn't a later medieval invention. It was already a recognized part of the church calendar by 325. In fact, the church wouldn't begin celebrating Christmas on December 25th until 336, 11 years later. So the observance of Lent actually predates the celebration of Christmas. A fully developed Episcopal church government. The second is that there is a fully developed Episcopal church structure recognized in the canons. Nicaea refers to pastors as presbyters, but 2 higher ranking roles are also mentioned, bishop and metropolitan. A bishop is someone who ranks above a pastor and has all pastors in his region under his authority. In Canon 4, it says bishops are also to be ordained by all the bishops in a province, but also adds, in every province, the ratification of what is done should be left to the metropolitan. So even though the bishops carry out the ordination, the metropolitan has a supervisory role and must approve it for it to be valid. A metropolitan is the bishop of a major city, usually the capital or principal city of a Roman province, who holds authority over the bishops of smaller or less prominent regions surrounding the major city. Catholicism and Orthodoxy still use the title, whereas Anglicans use the term archbishop, but the role is essentially the same. Canon 6 gives a clear example. Let the ancient customs in Egypt, Libya, and Pentapolis prevail, that the Bishop of Alexandria has jurisdiction in all these, since the like is customary for the Bishop of Rome also. This shows that Alexandria is the metropolitan for its region, exercising jurisdiction over Egypt, Libya, and Pentapolis. The canon also says that the Bishop of Rome and the Bishop of Antioch have the same privilege in their respective areas. This shows that the Bishop of Rome, known in Catholicism as the Pope, did not have universal Christian authority, but limited authority within his own region, just like the other metropolitans. A 3-stage penance system. The third surprising thing is that the canons affirm a structured, multi-stage penance system.
I'll give you your penance.
Unlike modern services where everyone can attend everything, the early church restricted parts of the service for those under discipline. If someone sinned but was repentant, there was a defined process for them to demonstrate their sorrow through penance and gradually work their way back into full communion, where they could once again participate in the entire liturgy, including the Eucharist. The 3 stages of penance were hearers. They could attend the service and hear the scriptures read and preached, but nothing more. Prostrators. They could stay for the prayers of the faithful, but had to lie prostrate as a sign of repentance. Standers. They could remain standing during the prayers, but were still not allowed to take the Eucharist. After completing these stages, the individual would be restored to full communion.
Oh goody, I'm back! I'm back!
Where they could fully participate in the liturgy, including receiving the Eucharist. Several canons assign specific time periods in each stage depending on the sin. For example, Canon 11 deals with those who denied the faith but weren't under grave threat. Their path back is laid out clearly. 3 years as a hearer, 7 years as a prostrator, and 2 years as a stander. Only after serving that time would they be restored to full communion. This shows that while the church had a disposition of grace, unlike the Cathari Innovationists who denied any path to restoration for those who denied the faith.
There can be no forgiveness for what happened.
It wasn't cheap grace. Repentance had to be proved over time. The clergy had to be blameless. There's an ongoing debate in Protestant circles about how to treat ministers who have fallen into serious sin, and whether they can be restored to ministry after repentance. 2 canons from Nicaea shed light on how the early church viewed this. Canon 9 states that the clergy must be blameless, and if they confess to a serious sin, their ordination is nullified.
He is not a man of God.
It doesn't specify whether this refers to sins committed before or after becoming a Christian, but considering examples like the Apostle Paul, who persecuted the church before his conversion, it's likely the canon refers to serious moral failure after coming to faith. Likewise, Canon 2 says that men who have been credibly accused of sexual sin with witnesses cannot remain in the clergy. While the church offers a path of repentance and restoration to the faith, it does not offer a path back into ministry for those who have disqualified themselves. This is not a call for perfection, but it is a call to meet the high biblical standard for church leadership. As the Apostle Paul writes, an overseer must be above reproach. Can't lend money at interest. The 17th canon forbids clergy from practicing usury, that is, lending money at interest.
Usury, money lending for profit.
They cite Psalm 15:5, which praises the man, quote, who does not put out his money at interest. They give an example of the kind of interest they opposed, namely the standard Roman rate at the time, 12% annually or 1% per month. What's striking is that this wasn't an exploitive rate, it was normal. The canon isn't condemning predatory lending, it's condemning any profit from lending money.
Some consider usury distasteful.
It makes clear that the clergy are not to engage in it at all, even if no harm is caused. Though the rule only applies to the clergy, the reasoning behind it reveals how the early church viewed the matter.
It's bad for everyone.
They describe interest taking as filthy lucre, driven by covetousness and lust for gain. Well, that's the 5 most surprising things found in these canons. If you'd like a quick overview of all 20 canons, click the card above or visit the link in the video description. If you want to dig deeper into the Council of Nicaea, the Nicene Creed, and the early church, I recommend 2 excellent books written from a solid evangelical perspective. First, Know the Creeds and Councils by Justin Holcomb offers a clear and accessible introduction to the major creeds and church councils, including Nicaea. It's a great overview for those who want to understand how key Christian doctrines were affirmed and defended in the early centuries. Second, the Nicene Creed, What You Need to Know About the Most Important Creed Ever Written by Kevin Deyoung, takes you phrase by phrase through the creed itself. It's a theologically rich and pastoral reflection on why the creed still matters today. I've got links to both books in the video description. Thanks so much for watching. If you learned something new, please click like as a way to say thanks. If you want more content like this in your feed, click subscribe directly below me. See you in the next video.